Welcome back to the Podforce One podcast. I'm Miranda Devine, and joining me today is Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly, thank you so much for joining Podforce One.
I'm honored to be here. Congrats on an amazing rollout of your new show, Miranda. I love it.
Well, thank you. And I have you to thank for the big take up in the first episode, because I had so many people in the comments say, oh, I heard you on Megyn Kelly. And so I came across to watch. So thank you. That was very generous of you.
They have very good taste.
I'll just go through a quick CV. Of course, everyone knows who you are, but Megyn Kelly, award-winning journalist, former Fox News and NBC star, host of the Megyn Kelly Show, now in its 5th year as a top 10 podcast powerhouse. And you launched from your children's playroom with just 3 staffers on a rickety old desk. And now you've exploded to 150 million monthly views. So, Megyn, thanks very much. And congratulations on 5 years. Does it feel that long?
God, no, it doesn't. 5 years feels like a blink. But when I actually think back to what was going on when I launched the show, then it starts to feel like it's been a while, because it's been, that tiny little desk in the corner of my children's playroom was doing a lot of lifting, because we were talking about George Floyd-a-palooza and the COVID lockdowns. And the country was in the middle of like a massive crisis when we launched the show, which was one of the reasons why we launched the show when we did. And now we have different problems. And actually you could make a pretty good case that, the problems then led directly to the problems we're experiencing now. But I mean, we've made so much progress in fighting wokeism, for example. Like the BLM crowd has zero power these days. What a turnaround. The transgender madness, has been totally outed for the insanity that it is. It's not over, but it's been outed. We no longer have to convince people that it's extremely controversial. So that's very much progress. And now, unfortunately, we've seen the country graduate to political assassinations, which, it's almost like you long for the sweet days of 2020 when we were just locking people in their homes and making them raise the fist and say, Black Lives Matter.
Well, I guess it's the dying gasps of whatever their regime was, they've descended into violence and craziness. And for you, when you first started doing this 5 years ago, going solo, it was a big leap of faith for you in yourself, I guess, after having been in corporate media for so long and been incredibly successful. And then here you are, just you and the camera. Were you frightened? Were you afraid you might fail?
Not really, because I just come off of a big failure. So it's kind of like, if I fail, it's like another failure. So, and I do believe you learn more from the failures than you do from the successes. So I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of like, it's going to fail. In podcasting, it's really just a question of how many people will listen. And I remember talking to my therapist, who I very much needed back then on the heels of that NBC debacle. And he's got this accent. He's from South Africa. And he was like, well, I'll listen and Doug will listen. So you have 2. So I knew I had those 2. And then, I just kept saying to the team, keep rowing, just keep rowing, keep rowing. And you're probably experiencing this now and will over the next 5 years of your show's infancy. You go like this, you go flatline for a long time, and then something happens and you spike up, and then you go flatline, and then something happens and you spike up. So like you amass followers in a very weird way. It's not like a cable news show where it's a slow and steady build and gentle incline up over the years. So I had to get used to that. And during those long flatlines, wondering, will anybody else come, or have I maxed out? And anyway, it's just sort of a different organism to get used to, but I love it. It's the most authentic form of communication there is.
Why do you love it more than, say, Fox or NBC?
Because no one has any control over me, none whatsoever. I can never get a call from the second floor, which was the Fox term for the bosses. That's where Roger and his emissaries sat, and they'd call, you didn't say this, you shouldn't say that, or that's not what we're doing, or would appreciate if you'd back off this. You'd get those calls even at Fox. Now, Fox was the best of all of them, because I worked at ABC for a stint and NBC, and there's no comparison when it comes to like freedom to say what you want. Fox was way better. But
people would never believe that.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, Fox, they have their agenda. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, go take a look at their sponsors and that will tell you what their agenda is. But in general, they are committed to the principle of free speech and of heterodox thinking. And if you look at Fox News on any election night or big night, you will see Democrats and Republicans and you will see smart Democrats who really are able to argue their points, like a Joe Trippi, for example. Not just pushovers, who are like secretly Republicans in disguise.
Yeah.
Go look at CNN, look at MSNBC, very different story. I mean, CNN now has Scott Jennings, who is wonderful. He's it. He's it. That's all they have. So Fox was much more committed to having open dialogue, but none of that compares to this medium where no one controls me. I don't have a single investor. It's just me. I own 100% of my own show and stock. I take advertisements. They don't control what I say. And if they tried to, I would fire them. So it's just a totally different animal. There are no sacred cows. I can say how I actually feel about any subject, and I do.
And has that changed you over time? I mean, you've become more outspoken, I think, and it seems that you've become more conservative. Is that right?
Well, yes, I think so. I mean, I was never, other than when I was really young, like a liberal. I was never a liberal, but I used to be a Democrat. And then once I started working as a lawyer and seeing what was happening to my paycheck, and I took a job with this big firm, Jones Day, I definitely started leaning more rightward in my politics. And then when I got to Fox, I was surrounded by very smart Republicans all the time. And it just sort of changed the way I thought about a lot of issues, gave me new ways into different problems. And, but yeah, over the last 5 years, I've definitely gone from, I guess, what you'd call a moderate Republican to like a real conservative because they forced me. It's like those cartoons all over X. I haven't moved my feet at all. The ground moves underneath me. I'm exactly where I used to be. I still believe that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, just like Mr. Rogers taught me when I was in the 70s and watching TV. Same beliefs as we used to have 50 years ago. I'm still pro gay rights, which that's fine. Most Republicans are. I'm not in favor of an open border, which was how the Democrats sounded in the 1990s too. Anyway, the Democrat Party has lost its mind and really shamed itself. I now believe you'd have to be ashamed to be a Democrat right now, given what they've become. And I don't recognize that party at all. Even my mom, a lifelong Democrat, she was always pro-life, but she was a Democrat. She was like a blue dog Democrat. Even my mom is a Trump voter now. I mean, she can't recognize the party she spent 80 years voting for. And now I think she's double Trump. She's not triple Trump, but she's double Trump, which is saying something.
A lot of your listeners or viewers are women and Democrat women, I guess, or previously Democrat women. I feel like you're talking to that audience that's gone on a journey. Maybe they're a little behind you, but they feel the same way. Maha, the woke gender stuff. A lot of mothers have recoiled from that imposition on their children. Is that where you think the Democrat Party has made the most mistakes, losing the women that used to be locked into them?
I mean, they haven't lost women overall, unfortunately. Look at the last election, but they are shedding them for sure. As Charlie Kirk would say, the women present an opportunity for Republicans and for MAGA. And I agree with that. But yeah, you're right. I have a lot of recovering Democrats who listen to my show. And one of the reasons I think they listen, at least what they say, is that they're looking for the way to talk about these issues. Like they want, my show is very fact-based. It's the lawyer in me. I like evidence. I like to know what's real. And then we can make arguments from those facts, but we should not be making up facts. And we should not be selecting facts that are limited to the ones that are good for us. We need the full panoply of facts and evidence, and then we'll go from there. And I think it's helpful to them to hear those and then to hear us talk about why, whatever I've come to the conclusions I have about those facts, they can take it or leave it. But at least now they've had somebody frame the issues in a way that's hopefully helpful, because they're still arguing with their side. They're still going back to their friends saying, fellow wine moms, listen.
Yeah.
And the trans issue is a huge one, huge, because that's one people knew inherently was wrong. And I don't think
But we're
that
too afraid to say anything.
Yes, they were too afraid, or I think it started differently. I think it started with, it got to too afraid, but it started with, let's be nice. Let's just be kind. Like it's this tiny little group of weird people. And we have no wish to bully Republican or Democrat, like this odd group that is delusional about something. And it's not really hurting us. Like if a man wants to put on a dress and go around, like who cares? And then it quickly morphed into something so much more dangerous than that. And that's when the uncomfortable feeling started. Yeah. And then the children were just a total deal breaker. Like now you have no moral choice but to speak up.
And with the podcast, you are not alone. I mean, you're the OG, but there are many other former TV stars who are now going into that space. And I mean, Joy Reid is one of them, your former NBC or MSNBC anyway, sister colleague. And Tucker Carlson, et cetera, and with varying degrees of success. But is that the future? What's happened to the corporate media, the cable channels? I mean, Fox is still a powerhouse, but CNN is hemorrhaging viewers. So are the networks. What do you see them withering? Do you feel more influential now than you were?
Yeah, I see them withering, and I think my lane has gotten very powerful. You know, I'm but a cog in that wheel, but my lane is the most powerful lane, and it is the future. I mean, they're all dying. They really are. Even Fox is on its last legs thanks to Trump. Mark my words, when you don't have Trump in there to drive the ratings every day, because he's a ratings machine. I have benefited from him at Fox for many years. Just
Biden was a rating machine, though, in a way, for Fox, being anti-Biden.
I know. Well, he was such a hot mess. Fox does tend to do better when it's in the opposition, unless we're talking about Trump. There's no comparing your ratings under anybody to under Trump. He's just so interesting and he's so entertaining. So look, if you were betting real money at the stock market, you would be a fool to put it on either cable or broadcast news. That is not the future. What we're doing right now is the future. And I do think that the future, when it comes to news consumption, is an individual relationship. People will decide who they can trust, who they like, and maybe they'll have 2 or 3 of those, and that will be their news diet. And podcasting is just so easy. It's in your pocket. You can put it on whenever you want at your convenience in a vertical integration. You can take a little or a lot. You can watch, for example, in our case, our hour-and-a-half long show, when we live, we're live for 2 hours on SiriusXM, but that's got ads and all that in it. On Pod, it's about an hour and a half. You can watch that for 2 minutes or the full time. You can watch the video snippets. You can watch on Instagram. A lot of people watch our show on Instagram. And they just watch 10 clips of the show on Instagram, and then they feel like they have a good feel for what the news is. That's how people want to get information. They don't want to have to do appointment viewing at X PM, or I have to sit there and I have to sit through every single ad, and I have to go at normal speed. With podcasting, like, I'm crazy. I listen to Ben Shapiro on 2.0. It's
and
crazy.
He speaks fast anyway.
Totally. I have to buckle in for that. But it's a great way to get your news quickly. And while you're doing something else, you can multitask. So I 100% believe this is the future. And that's why it's growing so exponentially.
And Ben Shapiro was really your guide to starting podcasting, wasn't he? Did he implanted the idea?
Yeah. So when Ben was a young whippersnapper, I had him on the Kelly File and my earlier show too, all the time. Like he and I got to know each other pretty well. Yeah, on Fox. Yeah. Nobody knew him. I helped make Ben Shapiro.
Really?
And Buck Sexton. And actually a lot of these guys,
when
they were young and needed a place on TV. And Pete Hegseth, by the way. Very proud of that one.
Really?
So yes, he'll tell you that too. But anyway, so Ben used to come on. And then when I was sitting on the couch, a loser, which is what happened to me after NBC, with nobody wanting to hear from me, nobody liking me. The right was like pissed about the Trump stuff, and the left was pissed off about the NBC stint at all, never mind how it ended. I was just sitting there feeling sorry for myself, Miranda, and Ben Shapiro called me and said, MK, get up. You got to get off that couch. You should come out here to California and take a look. They were still out there at what we're doing. And he wasn't trying to hire me. He was just trying to help me. So I went and I looked at the Daily Wire operations, and he got me so excited about the medium. I left and I was like, this is what I want to do. And it took me a couple more months to actually launch the thing, but it really is because of him that I'm here.
What a good friend he is,
Totally.
and successful. I wanted to ask you about NBC. That was, I guess, a huge come down after having been a star on Fox and then leaving in, circumstances you wouldn't have chosen. And then there you are at NBC making tons of money, but it seemed like they almost set you up to fail. Is that the way it felt to you?
Totally. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrid year of my life. I've said this before, but there's no other better way of putting it. The whole year was tumultuous and traumatic. And so when it finally ended over the BS blackface thing, it was a mercy, because when you're dying death by 1,000 cuts, the machete is a mercy. It's like, please just do it. Let's end this horrific experiment. But it was traumatic. I mean, I'm not downplaying that.
And why was it?
Because it was not a good fit. I mean, I said this to the Fifth Column guys the other day. I think I was temporarily insane when I made that decision to go there, Miranda. I'd had such a rough last year and a half at Fox, some of which is documented in the movie Bombshell, if you've seen it. The stuff with Roger was tumultuous and really had many people at the organization turn on me. So a place where I'd kind of grown up and had lots of friends, suddenly I was a pariah. And on top of that, the Trump war, whatever that was very bad for my internal relations and just my place in the conservative ecosphere that I was working. And so I thought if I went to NBC, I would get out of politics altogether. That's what I thought. I thought I'd be going someplace kinder and gentler.
Little did
idiot.
you know.
And oh my God, so dopey. But anyway, I really thought I'll get out of politics. I'll go do like a show about lifestyle. Not like, I didn't foresee the like wardrobe, and cooking segments, but I did think we'd be talking to like cancer survivors and like people who had near-death experiences who saw the light on the other. Like I thought we'd be doing substantive personal stories of change. That was my original vision for the show. But the problem was that didn't rate. So then NBC kept infusing all these lighter segments into the hour, which did rate, but weren't me. So felt awkward for both me and the audience. And like the gulf between me and the show just widened by the day. And on top of it, I was under attack every week, either by, this is my very strong belief, and she can go ahead and sue me if it's not true. I'd love to go through discovery with her, because of the PR nightmare who runs the Fox News comms shop, who's dropping hit pieces on me every other week, and because of the evil people at NBC who would love to have participated in the same. That's all I'm going to say. So like when your show's not doing well, it can be the case. I'm not speaking about NBC necessarily, but let me just give you a media lesson. It can be the case that you become the dumpster fire trash heap for everyone in the organization when, let's say, they have a scandal, which they then convert into a non-story by dangling your ass in front of the media reporter on something far juicier. Wouldn't you rather write about this? So for some combination of those reasons, the listeners and viewers can make it up themselves. Things didn't go well for me in the media when I was at NBC, and it just wasn't a pleasant experience.
You must have had to drag yourself in knowing that it was going to be a humiliation.
Yes, it was horrible. The only thing, I'll give you two good things about NBC. Kathy Lee Gifford, who was a doll and who the whole time was nice to me and saw what was going on and knew it was BS. And two, the in-studio audience, who I really loved.
Right.
And who, like the same regulars would come some of the days, like most of the days. And I fell in love with them. And those folks were so mad at NBC when it ended. And they saw what was going on. And I had a genuine connection with the people who were in that studio audience.
Right.
And I still to this day miss them.
Yes. Yeah. And I know that Joy Reid, you've just recently, she's been nasty about you and calling you the blonde Laura Loomer. So I guess she's no longer at MSNBC and is trying her hand at a podcast. I don't think it's doing all that well, but
No,
what do you have to say to her?
Joy Reid is an insane lunatic who's truly, honestly, extremely racist. She's never seen a white person who she likes. The only
100%.
people who have a possibility of being liked by Joy Reid, if they're white, are people who will openly subjugate themselves to her, tell her how smart she is, tell her they believe her Harvard degree was real, and pretend that, they're somehow less than because she's the be all end all, because that's what she wants us to believe. So if you don't go along with those lies, she doesn't like you. It's why she likes Nicole Wallace, people like that. And Joy Reid is going to fail in the independent lane because she's too toxic. Just why doesn't she ask her little buddy Tiffany Cross, the equally racist person who is at MSNBC, who failed as well when she tried to launch a podcast and go off independently? It's not going to go well. And that's what happened to Joy Reid. She was super racist and NBC had enough of her and said, we cannot be attached to this person any longer.
Yeah, Don Lemon is not doing all that well either. Same thing. It seems like the left is not really thriving in your lane, in this independent podcast lane.
There's a couple of outliers, like the guys from Pod Save America. They got in on it early. They're doing well. There's a guy named Tim Miller, who I constantly am arguing with online, but I secretly kind of have a begrudging respect for. I used to like him a lot. He's not bad. He's out there. There's that group, the Midas Touch. They do okay. And that will conclude the list of left-wing podcasters who really have a meaningful presence.
And why is that?
Because the left controls every single other outlet.
Yes.
They don't have to come over here,
Yeah.
Conservatives have Fox. They have Newsmax, but that's never really taken off, with all due respect to my pals over there. And they have digital. But the left has everything else.
Barry Weiss now, 5 years after she was squeezed out in the same sort of death by 1,000 cuts that you suffered at NBC, she suffered at the New York Times. And what sweet vindication it is that now her free press has been bought by CBS for a rumored $150 million. Is that something you could see yourself doing? Do you think what she's done is the right thing to do?
I could not see myself doing that. And if asked, I would say no. No, I have
no price, no price at all.
No, I have enough money. I don't need money to go sell my soul, which is what it would feel like to me. No, I don't need to go back into broadcast television. I've done that. Barry's never done broadcast television. I don't begrudge her 1 cent of that money. She's earned every penny of it, and I hope she enjoys it. And she's a dear friend, and I love Barry. But I do not have any faith in CBS News or any broadcast news outlet, never mind cable. I think they're going to try to eat her alive. I think Barry's very strong, but it's very hard to take on a huge operation like that where they all hate you. Trust me. And I just think it's going to be a toxic place for her. And because she's my friend, I don't want her immersed in toxicity. So I hope she does her part and what she needs to do to earn that money. But I foresee this not being longer than a 5-year experiment because she's a well person, and well people don't tend to make the decision to stay in toxic environments for very long. And it's very hard to turn an organization like that around from the top. They tried to do it at CNN. Remember when they came under more conservative ownership? Look how that worked out, right?
Yeah.
Like that guy, Chris Licht, wound up getting fired. He tried to have a Trump town hall. All of the staff turned on them. It's like that beast runs from the ground up, not from the top down. So I worry about what's going to happen to Barry there, though I will say she is tough as nails. So like if anybody could do it, it might be Barry. So over here, I'm just trying to root for her. Look, the truth is CBS, it's truly like, would you like to take the wheel of this big ship? Never mind those icebergs. You get behind the wheel. I swear it's going to be fine. That's how it feels to me. But look, they offered her a ton of dough. She worked hard for it, and it's a new opportunity. And most people who are exciting and dynamic enjoy new opportunities and new challenges. So to Barry, that probably sounds very exciting. I'm just in a different place. I've been there. So
yes,
it's not exciting to me. I'd rather have bamboo shoots put under my fingernails. So we're different like that.
It's interesting because I think that trying to make those those organizations more moderate, is destined to fail, as you said with CNN, because their audiences are Trump deranged, loony left, and they will not abide any opposing voices. They just refuse to listen to any alternative argument. And I think, we saw that with Charlie Kirk, and I wanted to talk to you about your friendship with Charlie, but also your decision you had this tour already planned, the MK tour, in 10 cities around the country. And then Charlie was assassinated. And I know you've said that you really went through some soul searching, and I suppose your family must have been very worried for you. Just talk us through the impact all of that had on you and your decision to continue with your tour.
Well, it was a heavy realization when it dawned on me that I was booked the next week or 2 weeks later to be on campus with Charlie as part of his college tour at Virginia Tech. And he was booked a couple of weeks after that to come with me on my tour. And it was like, I remember saying to the team, we have to pull the promos. Like, he's in them. We have to pull the promos because Charlie's dead. It's just, you can't believe it. I still can't believe it. And then came the question of safety. Like, is it safe for me to go on Charlie's campus tour, which is the venue in which he was killed? Can it be made safe? And should we continue with our tour, which had been announced 2 days before Charlie's assassination? It just hit the presses and we were just starting ticket sales. And look, we did talk about it seriously. Obviously, my husband had some strong thoughts on it, but in the end, Miranda, it was like, there is zero part of me that could not do it. Like, there is just no part of me that could ever have said no. That thing is not in me. It was just very clear to me, I'm doing it. So the only real question is, how do we make it safe? And not just safe for me, but safe for everybody. I want the Virginia Tech kids to be safe when we go there. I want the people who come to see me and my guests to be absolutely safe and not even have it be a thought. And really what that required was money to, hire the best security and make sure everything is pristine on our security procedures, which we've done. And I'm completely satisfied that we will be very, very safe on my tour. And then on Charlie's tour at Virginia Tech, it was a different thing because that was my first time getting up in front of an audience, and Charlie had just been killed. And this was like, I was supposed to be there with him. And it was like that. I'm not going to lie. The first couple of minutes that I was standing there, it was an odd feeling. I felt exposed in a way I don't normally feel exposed in public speaking events, but it was just a couple of seconds. And God bless Glenn Youngkin, the great, great outgoing governor of Virginia, because he was there too. He started and he was great. He's got an in-depth knowledge of the Christian faith that I wish I had, that Charlie had. And he kind of set a great tone in the room. And then, this is what a sweetheart he is. I haven't told anybody this story, but he came with a bunch of security because he's the governor. And he had the guys, like the shit kicking guys, and like I don't know if you can swear on this podcast, forgive me, but like with like the camo and the helmets and like the big serious ammo across their bodies. And
Excellent.
Governor Youngkin left before I left because, I was there much longer than he was with the Q&A. And he left all those guys behind saying, you stay here and you take care of Megyn, which he totally didn't have to do, but what a class act. Anyway, my point is simply, it can be made safe. And while it wasn't without risk, I'm very glad I did it. And there is, like, so far what we're seeing in the ticket sales for my event, you can get your tickets at megynkelly.com, is that people are rushing to buy the tickets. Like, we've already sold out at multiple venues. So I feel like if anything, it's had an effect on the audience of like wanting to give the middle finger. Like, they want to be part of the hell no, an assassin's bullet is not going to silence any of us from saying or standing up for all these same principles that drove Charlie, that drive me, that drive you, that motivate all of us to say the things.
Courage is contagious, and you've shown courage. Where does that come from, Megyn? We haven't got a lot of time, and I would have liked to have given you more time, but I know that in your childhood, you suffered a tragedy when you were 15, when your father died suddenly, your beloved father. How did that impact you? And did that give you sort of resilience?
That's an interesting question. I don't think it gave me resilience exactly. maybe it helped. But the thing that gave me more than any other thing after grief, was it made me make better decisions in my life. We all know no tomorrow is promised as a saying, but it at a gut level when you have loss, like profound loss at a young age. And so it's the reason I got out of my first marriage early and before we'd had children. It's the reason I left the law when I was about to make partner at a big white shoe firm because I wasn't happy. It's driven me to do so many things that I otherwise wouldn't have done. It's the reason I took a job in journalism where the first job, I made $17,000 a year, even though I'd been making money as a lawyer, like all these things, because you just realize you have to make good choices and it could all end tomorrow. Look at poor Charlie. I mean, he died doing exactly what he wanted to be doing. He had so many years that he was owed, in my view, ahead of him, but he didn't waste one that he had been here.
No.
So few of us can say that. So I would say that about my dad. And then, resilience, that just comes from continuous risk taking. You should always take risks, even if you're not a courageous person, because the more risks you take, they either pan out and then you feel like, oh, that wasn't so bad, or they don't pan out. And then you literally only have to do one thing. Keep going. It's not even that hard. Just keep going. That's it. You don't have to keep going with courage, keep going with a sense of humor, keep going happily. Just keep going is the only thing you have to do when you fail. And then time passes and you realize that wasn't so bad either. Actually, I've learned a lot about myself. I'm still standing. I now feel I have some impunity against these attacks. Like I'm less vulnerable to these cretins who try to hurt me. I have a better perspective on my life and my place in it, my world. So that's it. Just risk taking and then the resolve to do that one thing. Keep going.
And your children, you have 3 children, still quite young, 2 boys and a girl. And did having boys, I know because I had this epiphany when I had boys, did that make you sort of become less feminist in a way and more understanding of how men and especially boys were being crushed by the dominant culture?
Definitely. And I think I've said this before, but I think that it's the way that in the same way, interracial marriages that produce mixed race children can be a real solution to some of the race nonsense that we have in our country right now. Somebody like Sage Steele, who's got a white mom and a black dad. She's so sensible about race. And you get Sage going about race and you're like, yes, 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 everything she's saying, because she's got that unique perspective, right? She loves her mother. She loves her father. She sees what both experiences have been, and she stands up for both equally. She doesn't buy into the nonsense. Same thing for mothers of sons and daughters, because or even just a mother of a son, because the mother's had the experience as a woman, but now has the sharp experience of needing to protect a boy. So I really think it's a gift because it does send you to this place of, whoa, 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 on the Me Too stuff. Let's hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's remember due process is important here and men's rights. And, that was half of the speech I gave for President Trump the night before the election was about our forgotten boys and what the left had done to them. And, and our forgotten men, what's being done to men. So that's been sort of a main focus of my coverage, I would say, for the past 20 years, but what we're doing to boys and men in the name of progress, which is, of course, anything but.
And that's so personal because you're of your own sons.
Yeah. I mean, my sons and frankly, my husband. And to be perfectly honest with you, just my life as a lawyer where I'm trained to look at both sides. And if you look at both sides, you can see that there's been a lot of injustice done to American men. No one gives a damn how high their suicide rate is. No one gives a damn when they get thrown off college campuses with zero due process and almost no chance for appeal. And even when they do win their appeals, they're not allowed back on campus. All of society's ills being blamed on them. Meanwhile, they have none of the advantages. They don't get the affirmative action. They don't belong in DEI. They don't even get the quiet nod of okay, we'll take this one over that one anymore. They just get nothing. They get all the blame, none of the advantages. And God forbid they happen to be white too. Forget about it. And then they're told to buck up. Then you have the Joy Reids of the world saying, oh, white tears, spare me. Like absolutely no empathy whatsoever for their humanity, which is why, you kind of want to smack her in her fat face, but you can't do that. So instead you just have to laugh at her because she actually has proven herself a fool.
I have to ask you one of my favorite topics that you and Maureen Callahan are always hilarious about, which is Meghan Markle. And you two are so mean about her that I almost felt sorry for her at one point until she did this appalling thing going to Paris Fashion Week. Did you see that? She got into a limo, drove past where Princess Diana died, filming herself and her feet. What is that?
Who would do that? Like, there's seriously something wrong with her. The callousness of that behavior, it speaks volumes about who she is, but I'm not surprised.
And her relationship with Harry.
Oh, yeah. Like, who trolls their spouse over their dead mother? Talk about places you should not go. But it doesn't surprise me. Just this season in her stupid Netflix show, which is, it's not really a new season. It's just the carryover from the first season, which was a loser. And this is a loser. And she tried to paint it as a renewal. So she sounded better. Who was one of her star guests? Chrissy Teigen. What is Chrissy Teigen known for? Being a nasty bully. She almost bullied a 15-year-old into committing suicide. She's got a long list of young girls on the internet who Chrissy Teigen has terribly bullied. And this is who Meghan Markle's like, hey, come meet my friend. This is my dear friend. What is Meghan Markle known for? Being a terrible bully, making her staffers cry. All these biographers have written about it. That she
bullying
can't keep
the
anybody
queen when
working
she was
for her.
dying. Yeah.
There is no question that she and Harry bullied that queen in the last 2 years of her life and accelerated her death, in my view. Why would she go on with Oprah and try to say the royal family are a bunch of racists while Prince Philip was dying in the hospital and Queen Elizabeth was not too far behind him? She didn't care. Look what she did to her own dad, disowning him after all the heart attacks. Her stepsister, who she has absolutely no kindness for, no empathy whatsoever. The dad disowning him because he didn't know how to handle the paparazzi when he was like a regular civilian who got thrust into royal life. She has ostracized or bullied everybody in her orbit from the beginning of time, as far as we can tell, while always elevating herself into, even before this, princess status. So I have absolutely no quarter for her. And I wasn't surprised to see how callous she was. It's who she is. It's just some portion of the population refuses to believe it. But you should believe it. Watch me and Maureen Callahan. We know the truth.
You do. And it is so much fun. I don't know why, but it's a sort of a wicked pleasure to be able to listen to the two of you diss on Meghan Markle, because she deserves every time I feel sorry for her, she does something else appalling. So bravo.
Miranda, she went to Uvalde after the school massacre and made it into a photo op of her. There were other celebrities who went there because they were concerned and stayed away from the cameras, would not have been caught near the cameras. And other celebs that I know who donated huge checks to help out the families in Uvalde. You never saw them on camera. You never heard a word about it because they weren't looking to turn it into a photo opportunity or PR opportunity for themselves. That was all you ever needed to see to know who Meghan Markle was. She continues, though, to give us this evidence time and time again. So it's almost hard to shock me now.
Without Harry now. So maybe he's seen the light.
It's got to be toward the end. They had to stay together for a little while after Megxit so they could make it look like it wasn't a big mistake and they really did have this love affair and, get their Netflix deal. There is no chance this marriage is going to last. It's really just a question of when, not if.
Well, thank you, Megyn, for your time. One last quick question. The secret of success.
Hard work. That's it. Work.
Everybody
Out hustle everybody. Out hustle everybody. Just as hard as you think you're working, work harder. And don't say no to any menial task. Do them all. Don't leave work before your boss. Work on the holidays. Work on the weekends. Volunteer to do overnights if that's what needs to be done. You be the one who is constantly volunteering to help in whatever way possible. And don't whine or complain. Nothing happens to you. Lose the word unfair. Just double down on how you can solve other people's problems instead of asking anyone to solve yours.
Brilliant. Great advice, Megyn. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Miranda. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thanks for watching Podforce One. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss any future episodes.